What's going on, YouTube Nation? It's your boy Jesse James, and today we'll be talking about Emperor Raydon Lee, the Emperor of Japan, the Sensei to the Dragon Belt, and the major villain, one of the major villains that ends up going against Kanbe and making him turn into his alter ego, which is Shi No Kage, which is this like the lore. But before we start with that, before we start with Emperor Raydon Lee, because these videos are a little mixed together, and I do apologize for that, but I'm trying to give as much information out as possible. So, the lore of Shi No Kage was it was originally a prophecy that there was just war and war and war, and one of the shamans or the wise men or spiritually enlightened or elders, whatever they're called, as far as the wise men of the ninja council, what is it called, the era. I didn't really find that, or I did and forgot what they were called. We just call them the wise men, or the shaman. I like that better. Anyway, they were told that there was a child was going to be born that year, and of a great family household that held strong animal influences as far as being able to control animals and handle animals and just be very strong. So he kept an eye on these. Emperor Raydon Lee kept an eye on all the animal families that had talent in animal skills, and he watched over them, make sure they were good, because he wasn't sure which family was going to produce a child of prophecy, and he didn't even know if it was going to be a male or female. He just knew that the shaman said, this child would bring greatness and the end of the war and great, proud and pridefulness and love to Japan. And like Japan will be, that'll be their pride stone, is this prophecy. Well, when Kanbe Holomakri was born, or Shia and Haruto's family, when Emperor found out that they were that Shia was pregnant, there was all the different signs that pointed that Kanbe might be the proper candidate to fulfill this prophecy. So, excuse me. So, lost my train of thought. Sorry. Oh, yeah. So, when he found out it actually was, he had a bunch of scientists and herbalists and magic users, so to speak, because we'll just call them herbalists instead of getting too complicated. Concoct a concoction that would help further the prophecy along more. And it was to give the subject of whoever the serum was injected into hyperintelligence. So what was crazy, though, is when Kanbe Holomakri was born, he was born with a low-grade autism, to where, high-grade autism, non-functioning, That would be low grade autism. I'm sorry. And when he was injected while he was still in the womb, it cured the hyper serum cured his mental disability, but when the child was born, when Kanbe was born, he was raised and was watched over to see if the intelligence in the serum actually worked. They did animal trials to make sure it wouldn't kill him, and so that part was safe. But as far as it actually working, they weren't sure. But surprising enough, this serum gave Kanbe Halamakri, instead of hyper intelligence, it cured his autism and gave him super speed instead. And so that's how he gained that. And then for Emperor Raydon Lee, he just kind of started forgetting about the other animal clans and just focusing on them, the Halamakris, because they housed the chosen one, the son of the prophecy. And the fact that it was a male was exponentially more important, because in the ninja culture back then, it was very rare for a female to be a ninja, and let alone save the nation from war and distress. So he was convinced that this was the prophecy, and then the myth started rising when he started training and going out on assignments and using his super speed and his ninja likeness, his ninja mind, and his ninja body to complete these missions, but in a stealthier, faster fashion than the rest of his class or the rest of his clique that the ninjas went with for the mission. Excuse me. Started to put rumors across Japan and even the war-ridden areas where Japan was warring with America. I think that's the war. And it was this legend of people camping around fires and going, "Oh, did you hear about Shi No Kage, the killer of many?" He had many titles, but people's creative minds started enhancing and enlarging this myth of this creature, childlike creature that became as legendary across the nation, even creeped over to the United States and to Alaska and to Canada to Australia, of this thing. And then most were just okay with it. No, that's just a creative mind, somebody drunk and wants to scare people, kind of like the chupacabra or the Dracula or Loch Ness, or it became that famous because you couldn't have a campfire without talking about they didn't know his real name. They only knew him by Shi No Kage, which was in translation for Death's Shadow. And it was this vampiric type black dressed being, and he was the calling card for the Reaper, the Grim Reaper, that he was when the Grim Reaper didn't have time to deal with taking people out, his shadow would step up and take them out. But little did anybody know that Death himself, he didn't really like that. Near the end of the book, you see that Death starts to talk to Kanbe, and he's like, you're not my shadow. Like you're not my shadow. I hate that name, and you need to change it. Um, it's the myth, and then the legend is just that um that his myth is just so large, and that um some believe he's real, some believe he's fake. There's rumors that he lives in New York City. Where? Who knows? There's rumors that he walks. There's legend that he walks as a normal human, normal man, until the moonlight hits it, hits him, and then he changes. There's rumor that priests have tried to attack him with um, garlic, and it hasn't worked, and silver bullets, and it hasn't worked. And like they even searched for him. There's been, multiple agencies that just these world leaders and people are just dying, and then the only thing you notice is a envelope of black sand, um or a calling card, just simple, unmarked, no fingerprint, business card left on the body of the person. um and then the kids come up with a creepy um saying, it's like a poem, a creepy poem, that it makes the legend even greater. All right, a little excerpt about Kanbe. Kanbe character breakdown part 2. All right. Emperor Raydon Lee. He is a samurai, and he is a ninja. He is a war master, a warlord, and he is a master tactician. Emperor Raydon Lee is a second degree dragon belt, and he is a master of the ball and scythe. He is a master of the katana. He's a master of the bow staff. Um, he is the master of horseback riding. Um, Evasion and illusion. Um, he is very, very stinking rich, like Persian rich, not American rich, like Persian rich, like, oh, what pants pocket did I leave my $1,000,000 in? Like he was Persian rich. Um, he did not care for too much about Igarayu, but he did build, through his war money of conquering different towns and areas, and just keeping his areas safe, and missions. Um, he did ship out to Igarayu food, and but not enough it was barely enough to get scrape by. The more stronger ones created a military. Emperor Raydon Lee eventually becomes, after the Great Ninja War, Kame meets up with him in America, after he's an adult. After Kanbe's he stops aging, about 40 years old. But his body, because of the super speed and how long it's been in his system, and it's just been accepted as, okay, you're one of us. So the super speed just stopped the aging. So inwardly, inside, his insides are like 20 years old, operating at a 20-year-old. But his physical body age is about 40, but he doesn't have any aches and pains of a 40-year-old. That'd be nice to have. And so, no, we're not talking about Kanbe. We're talking about Emperor. Okay, I'm sorry. I keep bouncing back and forth. Um, Oh yeah, so when Kanbe came back to America and met up with Emperor Raydon Lee, he seemed off. He seemed weird, and he said, "You ever wonder if you could bring them back?" And he goes, "I mourn them, but they're dead. Like I can't do anything about it." He's like, "No, I found a power. I found an entity that will allow me to gain this power." And he starts really talking wonky, talking about being able to bring them back. He's like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" And Kanbe gets a little scared, runs away. And then when you find out that Emperor Raydon Lee is has moved, not only not only moved to America and faked his death, but he also became in cahoots later on with the Black Dragon, which was thought to be destroyed from the Great Village Fire. Annihilated from the survivors or whatever. Well, the last remaining, he's been secretly training, and he moved them to America. Um, he's been training them in the art of the dragon. Um, and the Grandmaster that is now in office, so to speak, of the Black Dragon is Yakamoto. That's he ends up being his second hand man. And when Raydon Lee is talking about this power that can give him that's promised him these magical powers. He's like, dude, that's black magic. Yakamoto was letting him know, like, this, you're crazy. You're playing with forces you don't know about. And he's like, no, it's fine. And so this is where he starts becoming the villain-ish, kind of like starting to break his ninja code and his honor code in pretty much everything that makes him Emperor Raydon Lee. Because there's this evil that's inside him, and because he accepted it, and it's giving him all these lies about how he's going to have these power if he sets this evil free. And of course it doesn't let him know that it's evil or has a second agenda to double cross or anything like that. And so when he finally sets this evil free, it is substantial because it doesn't decide to kill him, but it takes over his mind and body, full body possession, and refuses, like, keeps him sedated inside his mind. So he's like locked in his own mind, but he's only a whisper, and this entity, this evil thing, just takes over. And they have Kanbe and Emperor Raydon Lee have this fight, and Kanbe gets knocked out, and it shows him fighting this entity, and he's like, "You betrayed me. This isn't what you promised." And then the entity ends up overpowering him and winning, and shoving Emperor Raydon Lee deep down inside a box. And you'll see later down in the series of that'll be a two combative type what's the word I'm looking for? Story arc, where he throughout the 8-book series, he will Raydon Lee will show up here and there, either as Raydon Lee or the Ancient One, and you can guarantee that anytime he shows up when Kanbe is in town, it's going to be one hell of an epic fight, because you got Sensei and you got student, or you got master and you got Padawan. For lack of better terms, I'm not trying to infringe on Star Wars. I apologize. He's actually one of my, because he's not your typical villain. He's your run of the mills, hardworking dude that just kind of ate from the wrong tree, if you know what I mean, and just never stopped to heal himself, and so he's in this spiral of darkness and balance of himself, and he has to try and figure out how to tame this darkness that's within him. But he's got to figure out how to get out of this cage first. And so if you're into like senseis and stuff like that, follow Emperor Raydon Lee. His backstory is going to be very cool. And actually this next book is going to be about that. Oh, did I just drop a hint? I don't know. Depends if you're paying attention or not. Let's see what else. I don't think Emperor Raydon Lee did have he's single because I think his wife died, and so he's just kind of been focusing on emperoring. And he's just like, I don't think he had any kids because he was too busy going off the ward, so I figured it was pointless to have children when he didn't know if he was going to come home or not. He's about anywhere from 68 to 75-ish. Very, very, very in shape. Like CrossFit in shape. Small dude though. He was probably didn't push past 5'6", 5'7". Maybe. Had silver hair, dark brown eyes. His parents were actually the king of a country. They were the previous emperor. They were the previous emperor of the entirety of Japan. Yeah. If you like senseis, Emperor Raydon Lee will be a good character to follow. This has been Ninja Babble by Jesse Henson. If you watch to the end, thank you so much for your patience and understanding of. I just want to get it out there, but I'm not. I don't prepare. I just and hope it goes well. I'm sure I probably will get better at it later on the more I do this. But thank you for clicking on this. And you guys are awesome. If you haven't told anybody about the book, please tell people. If they are an anime fan, please tell them. If they're a ninja fan, please tell them. If they're pirates, do not let them touch the book. It is about ninjas. We don't care about pirate swashbucklers. It's a ninja-only book. Shi No Kage, Death Shadow, Amazon, Walmart, online, Facebook.com. You got to message me and I'll buy it for you, send it to you, and all of that will be included in the price. Christian Faith Publishing, go get yours now. This has been Emperor Raydon Lee Character Breakdown. Peace out. Ninja Nation.